Ho ho ho! Merry Christmas if you celebrate it. My name is KarQ. It is December 22nd. It's almost Christmas. And if not, if you don't celebrate it, happy holidays wherever and whenever you're watching this. You know what's not merry and holiday-y? These takes. First one of the week is common sense take. Double shield won't be a problem in current Overwatch with the DPS output we have. So you're saying going back to 6v6, double shield, what changed? What do you mean with the DPS output we have now? Because tanks obviously output a lot more damage in modern Overwatch 2. Like Ryan's hammer swing used to do less, it does more in Overwatch 2, things like that. But then that just ends up creating another problem. You maybe solve one and create another one. Like there's power creep now. Now all the tanks do more damage. And all the other damage numbers actually didn't change that much. I'm pretty sure Cass always did 70 and like 140 to the head. I'm pretty sure Ashe always pretty much did the same amount. Soldier's been teeter-tottering between 19 to 20 damage, even with the whole double shield stuff. It's less about DPS output. You could like double shield wasn't solved back then by simply tuning damage numbers up. It was just an unfun meta that despite bursting shields as quick as you can, the uptime of cycling between two was too much. You even had people playing Bastion, which has crazy DPS output, and double shield was still a problem. So it's not really gonna do anything. So I don't even think this is a common sense take. It's still like, this is a hot take, not a common sense take. Hot take, I think something should be done with escort or hybrids in competitive play to make them last shorter. Hybrid is personally my favorite game mode in quick play, but in comp it's so annoying because most of the time it goes 3-3. I wouldn't say most of the time. I'd actually implore people to track maybe like a decent sample size, like their last 20 hybrid maps, and tell me what the actual final score was, because I can assure you it's not most of the time going to 3-3. Anyways, it becomes an overtime fest. See, again, that is not as common as you think. You just remember it because it was a long, grueling fight, but you forget how often people don't cap the first point on hybrid, or people just like get stuck on the second point. So this is just simply not true. This is just kind of confirmation bias. But anyways, let's continue. And I find it causes teams to swap to the more unfun comps to bunker down on defense when in the overtime round. Maybe just make it so whoever got the farthest, the fastest, wins. It's just never a great feeling spending 30 minutes on Icon Wall just to lose when you could have gotten potentially up to 3 games in that time. Okay, again, 30-minute games are so freaking rare to go multiple overtimes. It doesn't happen as often as you think. And these game modes on average are not that long, like they're 15 minutes or under. Overwatch is already a short game. Try playing League, try playing Dota, anything that lasts way longer than this. So yeah, this is a pretty hot take. I don't think they should do anything with escort or hybrid to make it shorter. I'm happy with the way it is. I think it gives a team a chance to win, even if it feels like you didn't, even if you didn't cap it as quick as the other one. There is like fun and strategy to like having less time and making more of it because you guys bonded together. But of course, like I think early on I had a similar take to you, actually, believe it or not, where I was like, why are we penalized for, you know, having a better time? Shouldn't the game just end there? And originally that was my line of thinking, and maybe there was a world where that could be like pretty functional and make sense too, but I think with the way it's been for the last 8 years, like playing it through and like coming up with a last second strategy to overcome all the obstacles and one tricks and challenges you came, people flaming each other, but somehow you had less time and then you bonded together and made it work. Those are the highs of the highs that people seek and look for, and I think it's good. I think it's fine. So no, I don't think anything should be done. Hot take, if you genuinely cannot handle playing against a Widow to the point where you think she's broken beyond relief and should not be able to one-shot anyone, you need to stop playing shooter games. I mean, I made my stance on Widowmaker in recent times. I understand the frustration when they started eliminating like a pretty strong counter, aka Sombra, to deal with it for an average player instead of just simply outdueling it. And now like Widowmakers are running amok. It's less about not genuinely cannot handling it. And I don't think she's broken beyond relief, but your options to deal with her are limited. So it's not like her by nature, but your options to deal with her have shrunk over the years. So obviously one solution that people keep presenting is she should no longer be able to one-shot anyone, but the other dial we can turn back is adding more options once again to deal with her, or giving her weaknesses outside of the one-shot, like sniper glint, or a sound that it makes, or a laser pointer, or like something to indicate that she's looking at you, or again, if you've been playing the 6v6 test, evidently they buffed Widow's HP in that mode. People were like, whoa, but then it makes sense because you have an extra tank, an extra option to help deal with her, and her one-shotting capabilities in a 6v6 are inherently worth less because there's 6 players. You kill one, that's 16.67% of a team, versus the 5v5 where a single pick is worth 20% of a kill. Does that make sense? Anyways, this is not necessarily a hot take, but certainly a take that Lucio is way harder than Kiriko. Kiriko has a pretty solid healing output, and you can get easy value with her kit. Her ult is pretty busted too. Aiming kunais can be tough. Lucio has wall riding, having to manage healing and speed, having to work with your team to get value out of speed. Ult is good, but not Kitsune strong, but also requires aiming admittedly, but not as difficult as kunais can be. But overall, Lucio is harder than Kiriko. This is one of those takes where it's just so subjective. It's not really a hot take nor a cold take because it really depends on the player and the pilot, and they're difficult in different ways. I think Lucio is harder movement wise to maintain speed and control, but your aim does have to be kind of in conjunction with your speed. But if you get up to a person's face, it might be a little bit easier to land your 4 primaries into a boot melee compared to like Kiriko landing 2 back-to-back kunais. But then Kiriko requires a lot of finesse with the kunais and the wall climbs and managing your positioning as well. They're just so difficult. They're difficult in different ways that it's hard to compare. In your opinion, it's not a hot take, it's fine. Lucio is harder than Kiri in some capacity, but Kiri can also be harder than Lucio in other capacities. You can get baseline value with Lucio, evidently with Lucio having a much higher base win rate for your average player, but Lucio having a lower one because playing her is harder for an average player because like the output, the mechanical skill and output it requires to have a similar impact as Lucio when you pit people of equal skill together at an average rank is not really comparable. So you know what I mean? This one is, it's just a take. Ooh, okay, finally one with Marvel Rivals and Overwatch. This is what goes in the title because everybody loves comparing it. Hot take, Marvel Rivals and Overwatch can exist as separate games, and you don't want to pick the better game. They are both shooters, they have similar objectives, but to me they feel very different to play. And people picking one game like it's gonna go away forever is just silly to me. You can like and play both games, you know. Agreed. Here's the thing, if you're watching this video, I assume you probably still play Overwatch. You're a fan of the game, or else why are you watching these hot takes of Overwatch? That being said, I am playing both games. I'm making content for both games, and you're right, you can play both games. This is not a hot take. I think the people who are the loudest about saying, yeah, it's, you know, they hate Overwatch and blah, blah, blah. It's less about them loving Marvel Rivals. It's more of like, they already quit Overwatch, and they want to let everybody know that they quit Overwatch, and they want to make it apparent that they don't like it. It's like, bro, we get it. Move on, bro. But you're right, they're both shooters. They have similar objectives. To me, they feel pretty similar to play besides the first and third person. Hero shooter, a lot of hero interactions. Some of the balance is a little whack. Marvel Rivals, I think, has, right now, because it's so new, has a lot more interesting characters for me to kind of mess around with because I haven't learned everything yet, so I'm enjoying that process. But like, I have some things I can nitpick about, like optimization and the lack of like map pool. I'm getting like the same map like 4 games in a row, which generally doesn't happen in Overwatch. But then on the flip side, like I think some of the hero stuff is like way better designed than some other heroes in Overwatch as well. I mean, I can go on forever about what I like and don't like about each, but you know, they can coexist. And having Marvel succeed could be the fire that Overwatch needs for them to see like, hey, they're doing this and it looks kind of good or it looks kind of bad, and they're hopefully motivating them to like, you know, ramp up production on whatever they need to improve on. So yeah, they can work off each other, and you can definitely play both. Not a hot take. Hot take, Moira being a solid go-to generalist is her niche and is healthy for the game, considering how common Mercy one tricks are. This is a hot take because I don't think Moira's a generalist support hero. She's incredibly limited by range. That it naturally doesn't make her a generalist. I think a generalist in the support category is well-rounded, where they can play close, medium, and long range effectively. Maybe one a little better than the other, but pretty effective nonetheless. So I think the generalist supports are like Ana and Kiriko. Those literally fit in every composition. Maybe Ana a little less. I think Kiriko is the true definition of a generalist flex. Hot take, Throne of Anubis is the superior Clash map. My favorite Clash games are long games on Anubis. I find it very fun. I wouldn't say it's the hottest take. I mean, you only have 2 options. You have Hana Oka versus Throne of Anubis. I think Hana Oka is the superior one. I think there's better sightlines. I think Throne has an absolutely terrible first point. I say terrible because nobody knows how to freaking play it. Too many people clump on that first door without going inside. And if they do go inside, they just play the middle. I need people to actually play on that side part that has like the health pack. Not the side with the jump pad with the little like where the snipers or the hit scan perch up. I'm talking about that area as well for that cross angle. You do that, you'll find more success, but it's just infuriating. Maybe it's less of a map thing and more of a player problem, but like maybe by design it makes players go to like just clump up naturally at the choke, and it's incredibly frustrating. Hanaoka at least encourages people to go in because there's that piece of cover when you walk in and you go left or right. But because throwing is just go in and the point is right in that direct line of sight, people just play there, and yeah. Anyways. Hanaoka superior. Hot take, one tricks make the game more fun. Instead of me tilting about why my tank ain't switching, it becomes more like this is what I got and I have to make it work, and it just makes the game more of a strategy instead of mindlessly swapping. Yeah, no, I can. That's an interesting take. I haven't heard anybody actually say that, where they enjoy having a one trick on their team where they have to learn to adapt with them. I think you enjoy that because you're a flex player and you can do that, but one tricks make the game less fun for the majority because the majority can only play one or two heroes, and if there's a one trick that does not synergize with your pick and you don't have a flexible pool and the enemy team has already swapped to something that can deal with that person's one trick, it becomes more often than not frustrating than it becomes than a strategy fun game. You certainly have an unpopular opinion, so I guess by definition you have a hot take. So yeah, there you go. Next hot take: if the dev team were to give Ana any sort of movement ability, she would be the most broken hero in the game. Well, you're basically just removing her weakness. Ana's weakness is lack of mobility and verticality. So like if you give her that, then she can do everything. That's like what Mantis does in Marvel Rivals right now. It can do everything. So yeah. Hot take: the Sombra change was not a response to her power level, which was admittedly quite low. Rather, it was a response to the community's use of her. With the addition of perma invis, and before, but not to this extreme, she was being used as a character to target and bully other players, regardless of any attempt to win the game. You can see this with many posts that were made in places like her main subreddit. People would post about bullying or camping specific enemy players, even if it was leading to their own losses. The devs did what was necessary to stop this harassment, and her Sombra will still get changes to try and find a healthy place for her to be in the game. I think I don't fully agree with this, but I think that played a part of like the many factors of why they changed Sombra and got rid of perma stealth. I actually haven't heard too much about the perma stealth stuff, but like I've done this hot take stuff and these Reddit posts for the past like 2 years. And people were not complaining about getting spawn camp, but just complaining about how to deal with someone who can just pop out and flank and nobody peeling. While that is certainly a good reason, there's no way that was like the whole reason. And even if her power level or win rate doesn't, display that she was overperforming, because like the amount of Sombra questions on Overwatch University that I answered every week was astounding. I started skipping them because every week had the same question. It was unbelievable. It's just her showing up in the middle of a team fight and nobody turning around, and they don't know how to 1v1 her or at least like shoot and pressure her out. They always think they have to kill her versus like trying to sniff her out and trying to like, shoot her a few times to get her to leave. But yeah, your take is partially right. It's just one of the few reasons. Hot take: Overwatch 2 is one of the best balanced AAA titles. Overwatch definitely has its moments where some seasons are more balanced than others. They've had 8 years, right? But I can't really compare this to other AAA titles because I don't play that many similar genre hero shooters that are AAA that everybody can confidently say that feels balanced. The better question is to ask a very casual player whether they feel like certain like actually maybe not. You can't really ask casuals because they don't really have a fundamental understanding. They'll think like weak stuff is annoying and like overpowered, but then you ask a super high level player if it's balanced and they'll never say yes. Actually, that goes for any game. That's not even just Overwatch. You ask any high level player if the game is balanced, I don't think there's a single person that can say yes. So is it one of the best balance? I have no answer to this, but it has its moments where it does feel fine and a lot of stuff is overblown. But there are some other ones where I'm like, why are we changing this? But yeah. Hot take: Sigma mirror is more fun than the Rhine mirror. You actually need to use your cooldowns correctly in every duel instead of just when the other has ult. Less counter swap potential too. I personally enjoy the Sigma mirror more as well because like making them break the shield and getting the rock while they're sucking is like one of the more fun aspects of it, which comes up more often than the Rhine mirror swinging duel and just making sure you have shield for shatter. I think the Rhine mirror is a lot more like team oriented because the amount of pressure your team applies to the other Rhine shield can constitute how you play the matchup a lot more than a Sigma duel where you can, it's a lot slower pace, it's a lot more pokey and a lot more push and pull. So, I agree with that, mostly because I mostly play Sigma and not much Rhine. Hot take: after replaying classic 6v6, it's made me realize that the insane mobility creep is one of the major contributing factors to how bad Overwatch feels now. That's certainly a hot take because I think the mobility creep feels kind of good. I feel like the faster pacing and tempo is one of the nicer things I've enjoyed and appreciated more once I saw how slow and clunky everything used to feel in classic. So this is a hot take because I think most people have a different opinion. All right, last one of the week, another Marvel Rivals one. Hot take: Marvel Rivals is overrated. As a first-person shooter, Overwatch has managed to convey more personality and uniqueness to the characters than Rivals. Third person since launch, by the way, and they took it up a notch in Overwatch 2, and that's only the tip of the iceberg on why I think the game is overrated, but what you want, I guess. Yeah, I think this is certainly a hot take because I don't think Marvel Rivals is overrated. I would have said it was overrated if I like got bored of it and thought it was bad, but like I think it's lived up to its hype. It did a really good job, and people say it's the Marvel IP, it'll always do well, but there are some like, you can have a very strong IP and have the game still flop. There's like Star Wars games that suck ass. There's some other Marvel IP games that suck ass too. They did a really good job. It's third person, and you say it's more personality and uniqueness, but these are literally like IP comic book like characters that have a whole backstory and personality and uniqueness. That is a big advantage they can play, and it's very hard to say that Overwatch has more personality and uniqueness because like a lot of the Marvel heroes are original ideas that obviously fans and millions more than Overwatch. There's more people that know these these Marvel characters than Overwatch characters, and evidently people love them. So to say there's more personality uniqueness is certainly a take. Overwatch honestly did a very good job, and that's why people love the game as well. They did a very good job designing their characters with Tracer and, you know, the Zen and the Ram backstory and all that stuff. People love the lore and the story with Hanzo, Genji. Like, that's what made it amazing. That's why Concord fell flat, because their characters were boring. Both do a really good job in their own way. Third person's obviously a different thing. A big difference in how the game plays, but other than that, Marvel definitely lived up to its hype. I'm enjoying it a lot. I'm not bored of it, and I can't say that I felt the same for a lot of other games. So, but again, as a take was said earlier, I can enjoy both though. One's a first-person shooter kick that I can get, and this one's the third-person 66 chaotic, unbalanced, wild wackiness that I enjoy as well. Anyways, that's it for this week. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.